Okay, itamek skanatani. Good morning. It is Thursday, March 22nd, 2018, in the lunar cycle Sa'akisum, the duck moon. And this morning, I am taking the next preparatory steps in Mandy's eventual release from captivity. Today I'm scouting out a couple of the sites that I have in mind for potentially releasing her. It's either going to come down to one or the other. So I thought I'd take you with me, show you the couple of options. Mandy herself is doing great, you know. She's been really active. A lot of times just doing laps, doing circles around her enclosure. I can tell she's in hunting mode. Her appetite's all there. I've been feeding her once a week, at least once a week. Probably will feed her today as well. I'm not sure if I'll tag that onto this video or not, but yeah, she's doing good. She's doing good. She's very awake. She's very alert. She's ready to go back. She's ready to go back into the environment. Unfortunately, the environment is not ready for her yet. As you can see, things are still pretty icy out here. Icy and cold. Oh wow, there's a killdeer here. That's my first killdeer sighting of the year. Soyottuksk, I think is what they're called. Soyottuksk, like a shadow on the water, or underwater shadow. I don't know, my translation might be off. But yeah, killdeer, cool. Yeah, any case, it's going to be one or the other site to release her at when release time comes, and it's not that far off, you know. It's it'll definitely be within the next 2 lunar cycles. Not the next one, but the one after that for sure. So now is the time. Now is the time to find the site to determine where I want to do it. There's some factors to consider, and I'll share those with you now. So let's go check out our options. Option number 1, Popson Park. This is the area of Mandy's natal den. It's here somewhere. I don't know whether it's one of the dens that I've already located or one of the dens that exists out here that I'm not familiar with. The road that Mandy got hit on is just down there, about where my Jeep is. Just on the other side of the road is where Mandy got hit. So let's talk about the pros and cons. One of the cons, obviously, is that there's a road coming down through here that people travel to come recreate down in the river bottom and use this as a park. There's a large open area dog run down here where the rattlesnakes, where a lot of them have their mating rituals. The males will wrestle each other down there for females. But it's a lot of human traffic. Right now it's not, but in the summertime it's a lot of human traffic. People bringing their dogs around, and down here every summer we have some human rattlesnake conflicts, either dogs getting bitten or people finding snakes and killing them. Like last summer we had somebody kill a snake. There's that threat, hey? So there's the vehicles, there's people coming down here with their dogs. What else? Just over here on the side of the hill, I can see somebody's built a a jump for a mountain bike, because we've started to see more mountain bike use of this particular area right here, which is where I'm thinking about releasing Mandy. In fact, I'll come and I'll bring you and show you the exact site I have in mind if I release her here. But yeah, there's even up here on these isolated slopes, now we're getting people setting up for and doing mountain biking, you know, even though I don't think by city bylaw that they're allowed to, but there's not a big crackdown, you know, on the mountain bikers enjoying this area for their recreation. And you know, they gotta have somewhere to mountain bike in this beautiful area of this city. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Been having a bit of allergies this morning, not from being outside here. Now it's actually kind of clearing, but being at home some days, I think the bird dander gets to me a little bit. Yeah, I've got a badger hole over here that I've used in the past for relocating snakes, you know, that I think belong to pups, and if I don't want to take them directly to the den, you know, midsummer, I might take them out here. It's a little more isolated, and there's a nice badger hole here that I use for that purpose. Coming up on it pretty quick now, I think. Yeah, here we go. So this is where I was thinking about putting her. You can see a pocket gopher has trenched up some silty soil, so I'd have to clear that and open up the badger hole again, but at least we know there's no badger staying there right now. Or it wouldn't look like that. So I could release Mandy right here. This is her familiar place. She'd be able to reconnect with her natal den if that's her desire. And not really knowing, like, I don't really trust the science around snakes and their whole social life. So not really knowing their social life could be important for Mandy to be out here to reconnect with family and basically her natal clan. Research shows that, you know, if you take a snake and relocate it away, a prairie rattlesnake, and relocate it away from its natal den, that it'll try to find its way back to that den, and it puts it in danger to do that, you know, because it's traveling. It might not find its den or a den in time when the winter hits. So this is, you know, going by the research data we have, this would be the appropriate place to release her back in her home turf. But like I said, there's dangers here, and if we encounter Mandy again here, it's likely it'll be under unfortunate conditions. Most of the time when I get called to the park to deal with the snake, it's dead on the road, something like that. Also have to consider that the coulee rim is being developed, and in the next 10 years, all the way to the park entrance here along the coulee rim, there's going to be new subdivisions. So there's going to be, you know, a lot more proximity of human activity in the coming decade out here. And that's, you know, Mandy will be living through that. Here's another good hole that I could introduce her to if I'd like. Badger hole. So yeah, there's this place and this opportunity. So we'll go visit option 2. Option number 2, Cottonwood Park. Home to a fair-sized population of prairie rattlesnakes already. There are at least 2 large hibernacula complexes, natural hibernacula complexes here at the park, and several smaller dens. There's also an artificial den site that I'll show you, but I have in mind as probably the place that I would release Mandy if I released her in this park. Her home territory of Popson Park is just around the next bend of the river, so by snake distance it's not too far for her to go over the course of a summer should I relocate her here and she really want to be over there. She could certainly cross that distance in the time of the summer span. Let's go down the hill here and look at the artificial den site that I have in mind. Pros and cons to this place. Well, I think the biggest pro is its isolation. Here in Cottonwood Park, most of the concerns of danger to Mandy by coming into contact with humans is gone. There's no road leading down into the river bottom in this park, so you don't have motorized vehicle passage coming through there. Of course, there is an access road up on top where snakes occasionally get hit, but the vehicle traffic is just going to be far, far less of a concern here at Cottonwood. In addition, just the human traffic, even people on foot, because there's no drive down to the river bottom here, there's just far less human traffic in general. People want access to the river, so you get more kind of diehard naturalists come out here, people that want a more challenging hike because you have to go all the way down and all the way back up again. You know, you get rock lickers out here looking for fossils, you know, but all in all, far less people. And dogs aren't allowed here, though some people continue to bring them. But in terms of having encounters with dogs, the concerns here are far less as well. So really, you know, danger-wise, this park is much safer, right? It's a much safer park for her to be relocated to. But the only ethical issue that I have with it is that this is not her home place. You know, I know where I picked her up. I know that somewhere in there is her natal den and her people, so to speak, right? So that's the only dilemma. Is it better to return her to the area that she's familiar with her family there, even though there's a load of dangers, you know, including the development stuff. In her lifetime, the subdivisions are going to stretch up there to that park entrance, like I said. You don't have that concern here at Cottonwood either, at least not for what is going to be Mandy's lifetime. Probably after that, yeah. But so the dangers here at this park are hugely reduced. But is it ethical to shift her over here when we know she actually belongs just downriver around the bend. Here's the coming on to the artificial den site. This was built by my predecessor for this program, Reg Ernst, the guy that started this rattlesnake mitigation program in Lethbridge. And it was built specifically as a system for relocating snakes away from their natal dens when they had to be. What he would do is he would take the prairie rattlesnakes that he picked up and needed to relocate. Maybe he didn't know where their den site was, or there were some mitigating circumstances. Any case, he'd bring them here and kind of lock them in for one round so that they experienced brumating here through a winter. And having done that, it rehabituates them. Oh, I gotta unlock this lock. Hold on a minute here. Okay, so this is an artificial den and rookery site. The den, the hibernaculum, is actually in here, in the coulee slope here, underground. And there are several access points, entryways through these pipes that you see here in the ground. They lead into the den. There's another pipe down here. And it is actively being used by some rattlesnakes, presumably snakes who were at one point or another relocated here, or snakes who were born here. There is a rookery right down here. This flat stone, the females use it. You can see their shed skins all over the place here. There's more inside the entrance to the rookery. But yeah, the females use this rock to have their babies under, and they hang out here all summer. They kind of hang in the skunk brush area by this wire, and they come in to have their babies under the rock here. However, a couple of years ago, a predator found this and killed a good litter that year's snakes. There's other rookeries, natural rookeries that they've developed very nearby within walking distance that I'm not going to show the location of, but they're here and they're actively having babies there. So my thinking was, if I release Mandy at this site and I give her this artificial den as a starting point, maybe she'll return here to brumate. And if she doesn't, like I said, there's several other dens and hibernacula complexes here in the park. She shouldn't have any problem finding somewhere to den for the winter, and should be safe here. And if by some chance releasing her at this artificial den brings her back here for hibernation, for brumation, maybe then when Mandy matures and starts reproducing, having baby snakes of her own, maybe we might even encounter her here at the rookery. So, but those are some big maybes. Because the chances are I would release her here and she would just find her way to some place that she desired, some place that had that she felt comfortable in, wherever that might be. And chances are, we'd never see her again, because there's a big size snake population here, and I'm not called to this park to deal with snake situations, because this is their natural habitat. This is where they would be. So if a human's encountering a snake here, that's because this is where the snakes live, right? So just let them be. So yeah, I do come visit the dens here, just to kind of monitor their activity, end of the season, that kind of thing, when they're coming out or when they're going in, just to make sure the dens are still active. So I could happen upon her on one of those occasions, but it's highly unlikely that that we'd see Mandy again if I release her here. It's highly unlikely we'd see her again if I release her in Popson under any kind of good circumstances. Probably, if we came across her again, it would be because she had been killed in some fashion. So I don't know. Those are our two options. Do I follow the straight protocol that we've had with the snakes and release her where I know she belongs, even though it's a dangerous spot for her? Or do I bring her, here to this site where there's less dangers, but she's not familiar with the snakes or the area? Those are the options. So I'm interested to hear what people think about it, and not saying even if the majority had one opinion that would be the way that I end up taking. It's not a democracy, this decision. I'm going to make it ultimately one way or the other, but I certainly could be influenced if somebody had some good argument that made me think that it's in the best interest of Mandy to put her at one side or the other. That's what it really comes down to. What is the best interest, right? So yeah, scouting out, getting prepared. The day is coming. It's not tomorrow, but it's coming.